name a few of the people that are there that she loves and admires. And so, of course, that would be the person that Google would admire. You know, Google has literally come unglued. Literally come unglued. This is another story that was up on Infowars.com, and I laughed out loud when I saw it. Google's sticky car patent glues pedestrians in place after an accident. That's right. You hit somebody with your self-driving car, which I thought that was never going to happen. You're never going to hit anybody with these self-driving cars. They're going to eliminate human fatalities. But, you know, it's much better to hit this person and have them stuck to the car like flypaper than it is to hit them and then have them bounce off. We'll be right back and explain that logic more in depth. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host, and as I point out, we're going to be talking to someone who grew up in China, managed to find her way to freedom, and hates to see what is happening to our country. So much so that she is running for U.S. Senate to try to stop the slide into us becoming the kind of totalitarian government that she grew up in. So we're going to talk to her about that, talk to her about her Senate campaign in Colorado. Before we do, real quickly, I want to play this clip for you from Leanne McAdoo talking about our Handcuff Hillary contest. Here's that clip.
Great job, guys. The Handcuff Hillary hashtag has gone completely viral, and for good reason. People intuitively know that Hillary Clinton belongs in prison for her criminal activities, not as the president. The truth has come out about Benghazi, her private email server, and even her Wall Street connections. She's totally establishment and as criminal as they come. And now people can even see that the DNC has rigged the system in her favor against Bernie Sanders. And you know what? His supporters are getting pissed. Do you really want to make everyone angry there at the DNC when you show up to the convention in this t-shirt? Well, now we're going to make it super easy for all of you out there to do that. It's time to take a stand against Hillary and all of her criminal actions and support the info war. You can get the Hillary for Prison t-shirt. You've seen it all over the news. It's really making waves out there. Get this t-shirt right now for half off when you sign up for the InfoWars newsletter. That's right, we're going to give this promo code only to our InfoWars newsletter subscribers. You can get this t-shirt for half off. Go to Infowars.com/newsletter, and for a limited time, you can receive this t-shirt for 50% off the purchase price. I know that's absolutely crazy, but you're helping the info war, so sign up for the newsletter today and get yours before we sell out.
All right. Thank you, Leanne. And, of course, that's 50% off of T-shirts when you sign up for our free newsletter. Get your Hillary for Prison T-shirt and wear it. It will help you to identify friends and enemies, among other things. It'll also be a real conversation starter and spread the news. It's going to be either the White House or the Big House for Hillary Clinton, no doubt about it. And it's a life and death struggle, I think, between her and Donald Trump. He's going to need to win the presidency because she's going to come after him if she wins. But he has legitimate reason to put her in jail. We've talked about that multiple times. She'll just invent a reason to come after Donald Trump. Before we went to break, I was talking about this latest Google patent story that came out. This is a Google sticky car. It's a patent that glues pedestrians to the hood after you hit them with your self-driving car. And isn't that great? And that would be a sister patent to the one that Google was working on to predict driver behavior. You know, those unpredictable humans, you really can't ever tell what they're going to do, but sometimes you can predict what they're going to do by looking at their brake lights or their turn signals, and so they had a patent that would do that for the self-driving car. You would think that they would do that before they ever put these stupid things on the road in the first place, but understand, just as I began by talking about Google having this this thing that they put up at the top of their search engine honoring this Maoist who admired not only Marx and Mao, but Osama bin Laden. Okay, these are the people who want to run your transportation system. Do you want your transportation system being run by mega multinational corporations connected to our government, working with the government hand in glove to set up a kind of control grid over your movements? Is that what you really want? Do you want that kind of crony capitalism in the hands of people who admire Marxists, Maoists? That's what Google is. And, of course, Google has worked with Ford and Volvo, Uber and Lyft to push a lobbying effort worldwide. This is a globalist lobbying effort. We can see the fruits of it in the UK, for example. The Queen had a speech this week to introduce legislation that will allow vehicles on the road under ordinary insurance policies. They're going to make exceptions for the insurance policies for these self-driving cars. And yet they're going to use insurance to drive you out of your car. You need to understand, they're not going to allow you to be able to afford to own and operate your own car. It's only going to be a handful of multinational corporations like Uber and Lyft and Google and Ford and Volvo. Of course, GM is getting in this with Lyft as well. But you can see what's happening. You can see the handwriting on the wall. Right now, this is not even something that's going to be happening in 4 years, as they say. Right now, in Greenwich, just outside of London, you can sign up to take a driverless car for a spin around the little area there, and it's not going to be much of a spin. They go incredibly slowly. And as we look at the tests from Uber that they're starting in Pittsburgh, this is going to be done outside in the area where they have set up Uber's Advanced Technology Center. This is in Pittsburgh. They went in and they poached most of the robotics scientists out of Carnegie Mellon University. They set this thing up, and they're telling us 94% of the car accidents that kill 1.3 million people, that's going to go away. But, well, if that's the case, then why do we need to worry about flypaper on the hood of the Google cars if they're not going to be hitting anybody? This is something we need to be very much aware of. It is coming at us faster than you think. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, and joining me now is Lily Tang Williams. She is a Chinese immigrant who grew up under Mao's Cultural Revolution. Now she is running for U.S. Senate. You know, I think it's very important for us to understand that this election is about far more than the race for president. No matter who gets elected, we're not going to get our freedom back if we don't have a widespread movement. And I've said many times, I think that we overlook, we can't cover all of the local elections here at InfoWars. We pull people up from state elections, like we're talking to Lily Tang. Occasionally, we'll even talk to people who are running for state council or for city council at the very local level, not just at the state level. So I think it's very important that people understand that it's difficult to get information about who these candidates are at the local level. It's a little bit easier once we get up to people who are running for federal office like U.S. Senate. But it's very important that you do the homework to find out what these people are going to do and get behind somebody who will really make a difference. And, of course, that could be your local sheriff, standing in the gap, standing against the tyranny of the federal government. But I think it's also important to take the fight to Washington. It's important to cut Washington off when they do the wrong thing, but it's also important to send good people to Washington who will fight for liberty. And that's the key point here. Not necessarily setting up security or safety or prosperity as the key thing, but liberty as the key thing. So I've said many times before, if you give up your freedom, to the degree that you give up your freedom, you become a slave. Slaves are never prosperous. Slaves are never safe. So there is no trade-off between liberty and prosperity. There's no trade-off between liberty and safety. You need to put liberty first. That's what our founders understood. Those were the principles that our country was founded upon. And now in this election, I think people are beginning to wake up to understand that if they don't do something in this election, we're not even going to have a sovereign country anymore. We're going to be ruled by foreign globalists. Now, real quickly, before I go to Lily Tang, I want to let you know that we have a sale that has just started on Survival Shield X2 nascent iodine. That's at InfoWarsLife.com. I'm not sure how much longer the sale is going to last. It's a new sale. It's 20% off of InfoWars nascent iodine. This is something that is very important to prepare for you and for your family. It's something that you need on a regular basis as a supplement for your health, but it's also something that you need to have there if you get into an emergency situation, just as you would store food or water, or you would have heirloom seeds. You can also prepare with nascent iodine. Again, it's 99.99% pure iodine salt crystals that come from deep within the earth, lab tested for purity. You can get it right now, 20% off. That's our sale that we're running at Infowars.com. Let's go to Lily Tang joining us now. Welcome, Lily.
Hi, David. Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to talk to you, especially because I've been to China and I've seen how people well, I was there 10 years ago. I'm sure it probably hasn't changed now, but I saw 10 years ago how people there still idealized Mao. And I was absolutely amazed by that because I've seen what the effects are, but not like you have. You grew up under this. Tell us a little bit about this. On your website, you say, I was a slave before, I will never be one again. Tell us a little bit about your life growing up under Mao. I want to also talk about your policies, because Leanne McAdoo will have you tonight talking about the Cultural Revolution and the details of that. But I'd like for you to give us a quick overview of what it was like to grow up under Mao.
Well, I was born 2 years before Mao's Cultural Revolution in Sichuan province, southwest of China, mountain state. Of course, that I went through entire 10 years, hunger, poverty, and socio-economical chaos. And during that time, and I was so indoctrinated as a student in government schools, I even did not know I was a slave. I just woke up about 20, years later in this country to realize I was a slave, but my government lied to me the entire time. But I just did not know it. To give you the condition what we live under, so-called free government housing, because my parents worked for state factories 6 days a week, but could not keep us fed. We live on food ration coupons. I had to get up as oldest child in the family in the winter morning to line up in long line to get wheat flour, a bag of potatoes. Otherwise, they'll be sold out. And where we live is like 8 families share a commune, a courtyard with 1 bathroom, no indoor plumbing. And so that, one for male, one for females. And when also it's dinner time, you line up to get the water from 1 faucet. And there was always a long line, and I had to cook for my family because I was oldest child. I was 6 years old. I had to stay home, babysit my youngest brother because, my parents worked for state factories but could not afford, childcare. It was not really free childcare. We had to pay for it. We had to pay for everything. So they kept me at home when I was 6 to babysit my 1-year-old baby brother. And I was put back from school for 1 year. I was so upset. And so they got me a ticket to watch Romania fighting Nazis as my reward.
What woke you up to the fact that you were a slave? You said you didn't know that you were a slave, but what woke you up to that?
When I gave up on China, came over to this country 28 years ago, I was about 24 years old. I was fighting against my Chinese communist bosses in law school when I was a faculty in Shanghai the whole time alone, because people were pretty much indoctrinated. And so I feel like I was very alone fighting them. But I still believe in government. That's the only thing I was told in my entire life. If you give me a political quiz, 28 years ago, when I first came here, I would be statist. So I came here with $100 in my pocket, borrowed, without English speaking skill, and $1,200 in debt owed to my American professor, so I could go to graduate school. And I just had a big dream. This is a free country, and government is going to leave me alone. I have constitutional guaranteed rights, and I'll be fine. So I just started, raise family and start business, got my degree. But I was statist. I did not know other answers to our problems. My husband is a libertarian, so he slowly educated me about, what kind of solutions we could have besides government. So I read some books and I did research on all the lies that the Chinese Communist government lied to us, because I did not know we had no freedom of speech and freedom press. They told us the 50 million people died of starvation was caused by 3 years natural disasters. So I did not know that until I come to this country. It's because Mao's central planning policies causes people to die. So when I totally woke up, it was 2008, and I become libertarian, and I truly become big believer of libertarianism, where I have rights and freedom to pursue my life any way I see fit, without government interference, and they should not stop me from doing things I like, even though they might not like it. So I become big believer 2008.
That's great. I like to see people we've talked to people who grew up in Eastern Europe under communism there behind the Iron Curtain. And of course, people like you who grew up under Mao and under communism, people who have felt the chains of slavery, or even somebody like John McAfee, who's felt the bite of tyranny. I think it's very important. People who have been there, who have done that, who have lived under it, they have a passion for freedom that you just don't find in people who have been free all their life. And that's what we're missing in this country. Too many of us have grown up for generations in a free country and don't appreciate that anymore. And even